It's our 45th wedding anniversary. Yes, that's right, Wendy's been putting up with me for 45 years. So what do I buy her to show my love and devotion? A diamond ring? A trip to Paris? No, it's none of those things. I bought her something even better than any of those. A new Wilbers shock absorber. And before you jump to conclusions, no, it's not for my bike, it's for her bike. Very thoughtful I am. The shock absorber on her bike has never really performed very well. It's underdamped and undersprung. So let's have a look at the nice new shock absorber. All the way from Germany, but via a local distributor. The shock has been built to Wendy's specifications. The spring rate is right for her weight, plus we've got a hydraulic preload adjuster. This will be really useful when we're loaded up or with all our camping gear. Oh, by the way, I didn't just buy her a shock absorber, I also bought her an overseas trip. That's right, we're going to Tasmania for 2 weeks. In fact, as you watch this, we will actually be on the island, touring in paradise. The shock absorber comes with very detailed instructions specific to Wendy's bike. Yes, that's it. That's the instruction, and they're the bits. This is for mounting the hydraulic preload adjuster. Okay, let's get started with installing the new shock. Let's have a look at what I'm up against. There's the shock absorber, hidden way up underneath everything. It's going to be difficult. It looks like the first thing I have to do is take off those 3 bolts to take the linkage out. Okay, I can see how I can get to the bottom end of the shock, but what about the top end? That looks a bit difficult. So let's remove the side cover and see if we can see the top of the shock from there. Well, side cover removed and can't see it. It's up there somewhere. Let's remove this rectifier thingy. Maybe with that removed I can see the top of the shock. So I peer into the bowels of the bike and there we go. I can see the top of the shock with an Allen key type bolt. Alright, that's one side. Let's have a look at the other side and see whether we can see the nut. Looking. Oh, there it is. Aha! 17mm nut. Okay, I'm in business. But before I pull the old shock off, I want to get some measurements of the static sag, and then with Wendy sitting on the bike, and then with luggage, and then with Wendy sitting on the bike with luggage. So I'll take all those 4 measurements and then compare it once we've got the new shock on. And now some measurements with the luggage on. Before I disconnect the bottom part of the shock, I want to make sure I can get that nut off the bolt off the top. And yep, it came away nicely. The linkage for the shock has 3 bolts. This is where the ratchet ring spanner really comes into its own, because there's not enough room in there to get a socket and shifter. There's one of those triangular plates on both sides of the bolt. I've already got the bike jacked up with one jack, but now I want to jack up the swing arm itself just to take the pressure so that I can pull those bolts out. With the pressure taken off onto the shock from the swing arm, I can now just pull those triangular bits out and then slide out the bolts. Not too difficult at all, really. And there we go, there's the bottom of the shock absorber. Now I can slide the top bolt out from the shocker, and that should allow the thing to just slide out. And there we go. Extraction completed. Before I put the new shocker in, I just want to make sure that they are actually the same length. And yes, they are. Well, that's a relief. So everything looks good. So now it's time for a little bit of lubing up. Always a good idea. With all this lack of space up the top, it's going to be interesting to see whether I can get the bolt back in without a huge amount of difficulty. Well, that was good. The top bolt went in quite easily with the help of my assistant. And putting the 3 bolts back in the bottom part is not all that difficult at all. Right, last part of the job. Just tightening up those 3 bolts. And then following the detailed instructions to fit the hydraulic preload. All done. So with the new shock in place, I take all those same measurements again to see whether we're anywhere near the same height as the old shock. We found that we needed to wind up the hydraulic preload just a little bit to achieve the same static and loaded sag as the old shock absorber. There's still quite a lot of preload adjustment left on the hydraulic preload, so if Wendy needs the shock a little bit firmer, we can do that easily. So, was it worth paying mega dollars for a new shock absorber? Well, time will tell. We're riding around Tasmania at the moment, and this will give us a good test out.